Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Daily Drop-In Morning Show with the Teach Better team, where we are live every single morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. We want to give a special shout out to those of you who are listening on the Teach Better Talk podcast. We really appreciate those of you who have chosen to subscribe, rate, and review, and be an active participant in some way, shape, or form to the Daily Drop-In. We have a brand new guest here this morning. We have good news. We have holidays. There is so much in store, especially as we continue to celebrate our theme for the week, which is amplifying teachers' voices and getting you out there sharing. So we are going to be right back. Please go fill up your coffee. We can begin with those good morning messages like always in the comments, and we'll be right back. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is March 17th. It is officially St. Patrick's Day. So I am so excited to see all of your green hearts in the comments, guys. This is our holiday. We have Jennifer with us. Jennifer, I have been so eagerly awaiting Thursday. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Oh, I'm very glad to be here. I kind of really actually bounced out of bed however early it is here. So yeah, no, it was fun to be able to chat with you. We haven't spoken before. So thank you for having me here.
I really appreciate it. I've been following your work for a long time. I know there's multiple members of the Teach Better community that are so excited to learn from you. Obviously, now having you on the show, you're officially family at this point. So welcome
thank you, my
to
friend.
the family.
I feel warm and cuddly all at the same time.
I love it. And by the way, it's so early where you are. You're currently joining us from the West Coast. So not only are you joining us for the show, which we really appreciate, but we're very appreciative that you are waking up so early to bounce out of bed to be a part of this morning's conversation.
Yeah, it's starting to be something that we have to do, right? Because we normally, maybe pre-COVID times, we had our routine. There is no routine now. So I'm out of bed and working at night and working in the morning, and Zoom and online is how we roll now. So what time is it? It's time to do something.
I love it. Honestly, I feel like many of us are living that life. That's a funny connection that I hadn't really thought about following this COVID lifestyle and, kind of like Zooming and everyone on Google Meet all the time. I mean, that truly is what it is. You can kind of make anything work because time is relative.
That's right. It sure is.
Well, Jennifer, I am so confident that our network has followed you and the work that you're doing. But just in case this is somebody's first time tuning into the show, maybe they've only seen you in a small little taste of the work you're doing on social media. Would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do in education, and anything else that you want to kind of share this morning?
It's funny. I was just doing a training yesterday, and I said to people, "How do you introduce yourself? What's your introduction?" And some people were like, "Oh, I don't know," And I'm like, "Oh, I guess this is what I do." So I do introduce myself. I was a teacher for a decade here in Palo Alto, California, in the classroom. I was a high school English teacher. And I was here in this district that I'm still living in. And then I thought, I really want to become a new teacher coach. I want to do something else. And I went up to the district office and I worked at Palo Alto Unified's district office as a new teacher coach, a professional developer. By the end, I was working sort of at the behest of the superintendent, doing a lot of leadership work as well. And I did that for another 16 years. And then about 10 years ago or so, after I wrote my first book, as I was writing my second book, I said, I wonder if I can take a leave and see if I can become an educational consultant. And I ultimately did make that leap. And I've now been working internationally, doing work on what I call adult to adult communication in schools. I think one of the things that we can talk about, and what I really am passionate about, is that we have credentials in how to teach our students or our subject areas, and we don't have credentials in how to talk effectively with each other, and how critically important that is in schools and in the field of education. And justifiably, it wasn't what we studied, but we still need to learn about. So that's what I've been doing over the last decade, focusing on that kind of work.
I love that the focus is not only obviously conversation, but conversation between people that we should be collaborating with on a daily basis, right? What an important emphasis to be able to celebrate with educators.
Yeah, and I get that we wait a minute, we wanted to work with kids, or we wanted to teach reading, or we wanted to teach physics. It's too critical to not be something that we study and get better at, for a variety of reasons. So let's say you're a teacher and you're in a team, or you're a new administrator who's going to be who's going to be supervising and evaluating, or you're going to be a grade level lead or a department chair, and you're going to facilitate team meetings. All of those things require a different, an increased skill set. Not saying you don't have some of that skill, because we've been teachers. We know how to kind of bring people together and modify and accommodate. But there's a special sauce, I think, when it comes to working with each other. And so that's what I like to study.
This is truly something I need to work on, and something that I'm constantly working on. I have to know though, like, full transparency, can you be like perfect in this area? I feel like this is constantly an area that people can be developing their skills in.
I know. I think that we are always learning, and we're always learning this. And we're gonna mess up, and things are shifting, and the study can continue. In the last book that I wrote, it's about adult development, and that you're always developing. And I think that sometimes we are like, you know what, we're the adults, we're teacher of record, we're done, we're over the age of 18, we signed a contract, we're professional, we wear pants on Zoom, we know how to actually like talk to each other. Like, this is like silly, to kind of develop. And I'm like, it's too critical to not say we can always be growing. So that's my thing.
I love it. I love that this is your thing. I love that you're constantly striving to support educators in this way, because we always joke, and it's a very common phrase. This wasn't created by the Teach Better team, but we're better together. And so when we can communicate, when we can collaborate, when we can think of ideas and work in a team, we can be more successful towards reaching those goals that we have, not only in student development, but in so many different spaces within education. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate the work you do.
Thank you. Thank you. It's I think I came to it for exactly what you said. I needed to stretch, and I write and focus on things that it's like, whoa, this is now something I've been tasked to do. I want to do it really well. What do I need to learn? So yeah, it's really good learning for us all.
Oh, so powerful. I'm excited to continue to celebrate this, continue to get those tips and tricks that we can all utilize even in our days today to be better in our communication. So we're going to continue to get into that for the show. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is St. Patrick's Day and many, many other holidays, which we'll be highlighting later. We do want to celebrate the Green Hearts, though, today, a special day celebrating Green Hearts, Jennifer, and our family here in the Teach Better community. But of course, especially anytime we're live, Green Hearts communicate our appreciation. It communicates that we agree with something. It communicates that we're providing support. You'll see Green Hearts all over the Teach Better community. So I feel like today is a special day for us internally to celebrate that green. Every single morning around this time, in addition to obviously celebrating some Green Hearts, we also love to document a moment of gratitude. We actually have a friend that was able to join us on the show. They recommended this free app called Happy Feed. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it.
No.
It's a great app, and here's what I love about it. And again, it's free, so we love being able to share resources that are accessible for all. But it is an app that you can document a moment or many moments of gratitude. And what I really love about the app is that you can revisit those moments in a number of different creative ways. So you're not only documenting a moment of gratitude, which feels good, of course, but also able to celebrate those moments long term. So here on the Daily Drop-In for the past 4 or 5 weeks, we're excited to continue to document daily moments here on the show, and then hopefully be able to revisit those not only on the show, but in other realms of the Teach Better family as well, like at the Teach Better conference in October. So this morning, I'd love to throw it at you and ask you if you had to kind of reflect on your morning, reflect on yesterday. Do you have something that you're incredibly grateful for that we can celebrate this morning?
I'm grateful for at this time, given that we haven't been able to travel, and that was my livelihood, that I was working with teachers and schools all over the world, that Zoom has provided for that opportunity. And I'm grateful for the I'm gonna mention some schools or some organizations. I'm grateful for two just that are at the top of mind. One that I've been working with is the International School of Luxembourg, and I've been working with their grade level team leads, and we had a great meeting yesterday, really kind of saying, how can we teach better together? How can we build our agency to do that? And they've been committed to growing themselves to help their teams. And that was one group. And then I'm grateful that right after this, I am going to work with some international schools in Africa. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. It's not easy to kind of drop by
Right.
and do that. And it's been a developmental growth edge for me. But it's just amazing. And I'm grateful just to see how we're all trying to teach better. This is not just a national thing. This is an international thing. And so it's just really fun. And I get jazzed just sort of trying this stuff and having these conversations worldwide. So that's what I'm grateful for.
So good. So excited that is not only documented in Happy Feed, but an opportunity for us all to take a moment of reflection, that we are all able to connect in this very moment, whether you are listening live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, or listening after the fact on Teach Better Talk podcast. We get to be here together, and we get to be here together. And we're very thankful for technology, Zoom, StreamYard, like we're streaming right now, just as opportunities to continue to facilitate those conversations. So great one this morning. I love that reminder.
Thank you.
Friends, it is Thursday. And so as many of you are already aware, on Thursday mornings, we switch up our segments a bit and we start with our Brainstorm Bank. So we're going to be right back here to be able to get into some educational conversation. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, March 17th. We have Jennifer with us, and we have a lot in store for our Brainstorm Bank. As many of you know, our Brainstorm Bank is an intentional moment we have on the show, every single show, where we're able to really just pause, say good morning, and ask any of you, hey, friends, do you need anything? We know that every educator is constantly brainstorming, thinking through different ideas and problem solving. We just want you to have a daily reminder that you don't need to be problem solving alone, on your own, in an island. Jennifer and I definitely do not promise that we have the perfect solution for you, but we would love to be a part of that brainstorm experience. We'd love to help you get in the right direction in any way, shape, or form. So please know you can always throw your comments, your thoughts, your ideas, your questions in the comments. We'd love to be here to support you. Jennifer, we're going to start off with a theme we have this week, if you don't mind. The theme is all about educators sharing their voices. I know you're an expert in so many different spaces of communication. Specifically this week, it's kind of been focused on presenting at conferences. How do you get started sharing your voice to your peers? And I know that you must have some ideas on this.
I remember when I first started presenting, I was at the California Association of Teachers of English conferences, and it was within my subject area, it was within my state, and I just said, here's something that a unit that I'm really passionate about, something that I'm really want to sort of see what, if this really lands with other people. And it wasn't my best my best, kind of presenting as I started. It's you need to kind of work with somebody on how does kind of a conference session go, and I didn't have enough people to work with me on that. But by the second time, it was a powerful topic, and it was a better session. And I just I keep telling people when they say, how should I do this? You say, I want to try something out. You keep applying. I, to this day, and I'm being, just this is human. I try to get into national conferences. I don't get in. You got to let it, sometimes you never know what the conference committee is interested in. You're unsure. So for me, I just keep applying, and it's a really interesting study of how can you pitch your thing in your first paragraph, and how to actually fill out one of those conference form proposals is not how maybe we think all the time, but it's a good study, and it gets you to kind of focus. So I'm happy if they at Jennifer Abrams is my Twitter feed. If you want to try to find me there, happy to kind of read some stuff. This is what I do for a living, right? I help people find their voice. And so why not in writing a proposal? So happy to talk to somebody about it. It's a really good opportunity to share.
So powerful. And I love the reminder of feedback, right, Jennifer? It's always about getting feedback, making minor tweaks, those adjustments. For our Teach Better community, as a reminder, we just put out a free course on our personal tips and tricks on how to present at a conference, everything down to like getting started, keeping organized throughout the process. But a huge emphasis of the course, Jennifer, and just like you said, is getting feedback, taking this description that you worked really hard on, sending it to a friend on Twitter and saying, can you read this and tell me your initial thoughts? What can I adjust? So I know that your focus is constantly on communication, and how we communicate with our peers in a presentation, I'm sure, is something that can be applicable in the work that you do.
Yeah, I watched a very new a new author do a presentation on just recently, and I went and I wanted to support, and it was a fascinating piece because you write these books, you do this stuff, and you want to share, right? And yes, you should, and I want you to be proud about your stuff, but guess what? There are people in the audience who would like to actually engage with it. So stop after a little bit, give people some gum, and then let them chew it. And that's the Suzanne Bailey of blessed memory, is a consulting kind of thing. You've got to say, how do you see it? What's your take? And I think he had so much, and he was trying to share his expertise, and he'd had so much, and it was like, great, how about half of you? You'd get more, bang for the buck if it was half of you, and then now let us talk too. So that's a new presenter kind of oops. And I've been there.
One of the things we focus on in the course, one of the conversations we've been having recently is when you're presenting, sometimes you really need to have those objectives, right? You want to know what your audience is going to be able to do when they leave your session. One of the things you can add in those objectives is the collaboration, the engagement, the ability for educators to talk to each other. I love that reminder that it's not just I speak, you listen, and they can sit back and just be a listener, but we really want them to be an active participant. Just like on the show with the comments, friends, we love you choosing to be active in the learning experience that you have in front of you.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
Jennifer, Lori is so wonderful in participating in the show almost every morning. We love celebrating the things going on in her life. She has a comment here saying that she's working on an idea to start a YouTube channel or a podcast. I've actually had the luxury to speak with Lori about this really, really wonderful idea. And she says she's feeling a little stuck on what to do next. She's kind of afraid to take some of the steps of, I assume, sharing her voice, getting this all set up. Any strategies for her that she can start working towards?
Go do it. You don't have, I just recently lost a colleague. He passed away at the age of 60, and we were all stunned. And it just reminded me of, we don't have time to, if we have something that we want to share, you ain't got that kind of time to feel worried about your voice. Get it out there. That's number one. if you're stuck and you're looking for somebody to kind of shape it with you, and I guess Rae's helped you with that, go for it. But also you might want to think like, and this is going to be controversial. So I'm going to pose something controversial.
Do it.
Is it maybe that you're feeling a little stuck because you're like, I don't know, is this really valuable, etc.? And I always ask myself this question: would a man be as worried about starting this podcast as I am? And if they'd say, you know what, I think I have something to say, I think I'm going to get out there and say it. If that might be the stopping block, is maybe imposter syndrome or who am I? And, just do it, because there are many people who might actually think I should stop and not say something that are saying it anyways. So I'm always encouraging women to just get out there and do it, because chances are you've got something very important that you've got to get out there, and it would be really cool. And I'll be on the podcast.
No, honestly, I love that encouragement. And I love that there's so many different hurdles that may be in our way.
Right.
None of them should stop us from actually pursuing this opportunity if it's something you're passionate about. Jennifer, right. I can tell you, Lori is a wonderful educator. She has so much passion in her. And in my mind, isn't that the perfect recipe for getting started a conversation in education, right?
Right. And why not? And you'll practice and you'll figure it out. And it's, yes, just the answer. There's a guy named Peter Block. He wrote a book. This is a true story. This is the true title. The answer to how is yes. That's it. So it's like, don't worry about how you're going to get it done. Just say yes, commit, and it'll sort of go. And that's the piece, because everyone goes, well, I don't know, and I'm not sure, and what about this, and what about that? And you're always worried about like the little pieces. The answer is, the answer to how can I get this podcast out? Yes, I'm going to do it. Give it a shot. See what happens.
I think the other thing, Jennifer, and this comes with conference proposals, this comes with speaking, this comes with starting a new project where you're sharing your voice, is you don't really have to have it perfect when it gets started. Oh. Like, your presentation doesn't need to be at its highest peak the first time you do it. The podcast doesn't need to be perfect in the first episode. People have the ability to develop over time. Isn't that the point?
Yeah, that's the total point. And I can tell you that my last book, I was just working, doing some stuff with people, and I realized, oh, that's not right. Oh, why did I not? And I just call it first edition. That's what I literally say. I'm like, so in this first edition, there was something that was missing. You know what I mean? And I got your notes to self. That's what you're going to do for the next edition. It's that design thinking piece. It's that iterative piece that that you're always, why did Apple's doing, what is it? 6.0, 7.0, 8.0. They're constantly, we got Sierra and then El Capitan and then something. They're constantly adjusting. So they're trying to make things better, which means at some point they started with like 1.0, kind of stuff. So you're at 1.0 and there'll be a 2.0. And so just always know it's going to get better, and there's always going to be a next. It's like both, right? It's like the good news is there can be a 2.0, and then there's always the news, there's going to be a 2.0. You'll always be like the next step.
But that's like teaching. All of us that are in the space of education, I'm seeing the comments, Lori, Brad, Brianne, we have a lot of people being active in our conversation this morning, all serving in the education community, all different ways. And nobody walked in with the perfect lesson plan yesterday. Nobody walked in with the perfect staff training yesterday. And yet everyone still was able to wake up this morning, be successful, and walk into tomorrow,
Yeah. And that really takes a lot of resilience, right? You've got to pick yourself back up. It's like, how do I have the stomach and the bandwidth to say that wasn't great, or I can do something different, and it's okay. I'm not going to fall over. What's his name? Martin Seligman. Martin Seligman wrote a book called Learned Optimism. He was a completely glass half empty guy at UPenn, and he's a professor, and he had to learn how to be optimistic. He had to learn how to come back from stuff. And there are like ways that I would teach my students, and I have to do myself, of like, okay, well, that wasn't great. Okay, now how do I self-talk my way into tomorrow? So yeah, there's a lot of self-talk that goes on in this space right here.
Right.
there's a lot of noise, and then there's a lot of we got to get it together, because it's just no fun sometimes in there.
Jennifer, you are able to work with educators around the world on a daily basis. I love that you are able to provide so much insight on communication between educator and educator, but I know that you're doing so much professional development to better our space. If you were to identify kind of a topic that's on your heart recently, a topic that you find is coming up recently, that you feel like when you're able to problem solve or discuss it with educators, you see kind of a sense of relief, maybe a positivity in the direction they're heading. What is that right now?
I think, well, I'm thinking about two things. So I'm going to do a little shameless plug. So this is the newest book. Whoop, I got to see if I can move that into the screen there. Stretching Your Learning Edges, Growing Up at Work. And the up is in parentheses. And I think what I'm passionate about right now is developing us as a profession, individuals in the profession. How can we be our best adult self in the profession? And that it's our responsibility to grow ourselves so that we can be better value add to each interaction that we have. I think I'm talking to a lot of people about their grief, their disappointment, their wounds, around interactions that they've had, the situations that they have sort of encountered over the last number of years. It's been so hard being online and then back at school, and if you come back in, let's do a team reset. Let's be our better selves. And so that's really where I've been focusing. And as I do that, people start talking about sort of past experiences where they really were kind of paper cutted. I call it verbal paper cuts, where people said things to them and it kind of really hurt them and irritated them. And let's not try to do that to each other. We've got too big of a task ahead of us to help teach the next generation. And we've got so much that we need to be focusing on and modeling for them. Let's try to be our best adult self. So, and I'm trying to do that. So that's really what I'm passionate about right now.
Such an incredible reminder. If you were to give our community here a challenge or an action step that they can take to be better in this space, what can we do? I mean, it's Thursday, right? It's Thursday today. We're walking into a wacky day, possibly at school, lots of green going on with many of us at least acknowledging St. Patrick's Day, especially with green hearts, right? And obviously, it's be Friday. We have a weekend ahead of us. I want to give a shout out those of you that are in the Chicagoland area. We're even going to have the opportunity to get some people physically together in real life on Friday evening. So as people are moving forward, how can they choose to be better in this space?
So one of the things I say, and I'm going to give a shout out to the Indiana Health Center, Indiana University Health Center. It's like a hospital. It is a hospital, and at the front door of their building, they say basically get your energy in check before you enter this space. Our patients matter and our teams matter, and therefore your language matters and your behavior matters. And then they say, take a slow, deep breath and get your energy in check before you enter. And I think that what we need to do is before we show up, before we get out of our car into the front office on Monday or tomorrow, or before we go into a team meeting, even though we're hypoglycemic, it's after school, we're tired, whatever, we just want to go home, take a deep breath and say, am I healthy? Am I psychologically and emotionally in the right space in order to be a value add to this situation? And drink some water and do something, because I know that people sometimes go into situations and they're just like, they're a whoosh. I kind of call it the pig pen. Remember Pigpen from Charlie Brown, Snoopy? He always came into things and he had like dust, and dust was coming with him. And he was a lovely character. And I'm not saying that we're not just real life people, and sometimes we bring a little dust from our past experience into our current experience. But let's just try to, be there and recognize that we are a model, we're modeling for kids. So I kind of talk about like, can we take a deep breath, do our energy check, and try not to be pigpen? So that's one thing that I say in a lot of the work, because I talk about building resiliency as one of my facets. So that would be one thing. And I try to do it. It's like, okay, I got my coffee. Am I sitting down? How am I? And now I can be with Rae, and we can do our Teach Better podcast.
I love this opportunity to be able to take a self-check, and that's something you can do multiple times a day. It's an easy action step. Just get a pulse. It makes you more aware. And to be honest, Jennifer, thinking through like what's on my calendar later today, thinking through and reflecting on my day yesterday, it doesn't mean that I'm going back to, the perfect zero balance, but even just being aware of the fact, oh, I'm a little anxious. So there's something really on my mind that I need to be aware of may affect my next meeting or may affect my first class I'll be teaching this morning. Being self-aware of those things can allow us to be more intentional.
Yeah. And I always said, if I was having a bad day, the one thing that would really get me to focus is go right back into a classroom, because it was a gift. It was an absolute gift. This was sort of interesting. One thing that I always did was, if I knew I'd had a really bad evening and I wasn't sure that my energy was going to be in check, I let the students know that, and I wore glasses. Okay. Oh. So these are my reading glasses, which look kind of weird on because it's that you can see the reflection, but I had glasses. And so there were glasses that I would wear on days that I needed a little TLC, that I was trying not to have my energy in check. And the kids were at least aware, like, oh, she could be a little, kind of like that. And so I wasn't trying to be mean to them, but I was just giving them a clue. And then me, a visceral reminder that I was a little tender that day. A couple years later, I had some eye problems, and I was, kids had graduated at that point, and I saw this one girl. She was at a store in my town, and I was wearing my glasses, and she goes, "Oh, Miss Abrams," and then she saw my glasses and she goes, "How are you?" Because she knew, even it was years later, that was the clue. So there are ways that even if you can't get your energy in check, that you should sort of share that, so that people are aware that you're a little tender, a little fragile. And so that's perfectly okay.
Do we all need to get started today with some glasses? Or we're just going to be walking
whatever your code is, whatever your code is. It's just a way for me. It was a way for me to be mindful. Yeah. And to let the kids know that I think I was a pretty good teacher, but I just also knew that I might be a little emotional. And so that was the thing. I was growing. I don't think I would need to do that at this point, but you never know.
Hey, I see nothing in having a way to, again, clearly communicate. I mean, this is just transparency at its best. I love it.
Yeah. How are you? Oh, Miss Abrams, you're wearing glasses. So it was a good code.
So many good takeaways today, so many reflective moments, but also actions that we can take this morning to be better for our students as we walk into the building today. I know a lot of us are in the midst of preparing for spring break, or really just enjoying a stinking Thursday, friends. It's okay. We can all be better, a little bit better today, and then a little bit better tomorrow. And that's all that we're asking for as we head into our time together as educators. We're going to transition here to continue to add some good things to your life. We have some good news articles we're going to share with you, some holidays, maybe some good laughs. That's what I'm hoping for. So we'll be right back with Jennifer Abrams. All right, good morning, friends. We are here to wrap up the show with some good news articles, some holidays. Jennifer, I don't know about you, but I always appreciate a moment to celebrate, right? Add a little bit of in my step, something wacky or something serious, to not only be aware of in our communities, things that are being celebrated, but also just to celebrate with others. It's something I really love.
I think that's beautiful. I did yesterday at the beginning of my my workshop, what's delighted you in the last 7 days? And it was just a beautiful sort of cascade in the chat box of things personal and professional. And so that's often my icebreaker as I do things. What's delighted you?
Ooh, I love that. I think I would very frequently tell you what's delighting me is some wacky holiday I was able to report on in the show. Like literally, I think earlier this week was like World Potato Chip Day. I love a World Potato Chip Day. What a great opportunity to celebrate and eat chips.
I think that's brilliant. And I wonder, given, my interest in that world idea, like what kind of flavors there would be, and could we celebrate, I don't know, what does Sri Lanka
Yes.
put on their chips in terms of spice as opposed to Kenya?
Right.
And why is it world chip? And does everybody eat a chip? And how different are those chips? And I don't know. That would be my immediate fun thing with that. What's
See,
your favorite type of chip? Like what's the flavor on a chip you like?
I think I'm gonna go classic. I love just a good salty chip, whatever that means. Is I'm kind of a but then again, the flavors are fun to try. But I feel like if you're gonna try a flavor, I want like 10 different flavors.
Oh, interesting. I was old school barbecue for
Oh,
many, many years. And now I think my palate has shifted. So I may be like, yeah, I know exactly like maybe like a jalapeno kind of thing. I don't know. I'm also moving from chip to almond. So I'm trying to feel better about myself, try to eat something healthy. But then there's always like a spice on the almond. So I'm getting like all these different kinds of spices on almonds. So you
you
should
know,
see my cabinet.
I know it's too early right now, but when you're able every so often to go to a brewery and you get a flight of beer, all different
Yes,
flavors. That's how I just want to eat things these days. I want all the flavors of all the options to just taste test for a living. Can I have a hobby of taste testing? It's just what I
I
want.
think you actually can do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's somebody where you live that's actually doing that. So, and why not? We just told Lori Ann that she should take a risk and do her podcast. The answer is you decide. I want to be a taste tester. The answer to how is yes.
All right. Well, friends, I'm
Okay.
going to the grocery store later today. I'm going to buy all the flavors of chips and we're just going to taste test them all. It's going to be great. This morning, as we celebrate other holidays today, we did note that it is St. Patrick's Day. For those of you that are celebrating, at least in our community, continue to send those green hearts. It's always fun to be able to share our love and teach better energy to our friends. It's also absolutely incredible Kid Day, which is not a day that I knew that we were going to be celebrating. But hey, kids are the future, and why not just celebrate the incredible elements of our kids? I love it.
I love that. I have two nephews. I will write them a text and say, happy, incredible day.
Yes.
Happy, incredible day to you.
I love it. I will say that of all days, sometimes, Jennifer, we go through our list of holidays and there's like 57 holidays. It just is never ending. Today, it's just those three: St. Patrick's Day, Incredible Kid Day, and look at this, National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day, which I guess I probably could have predicted. So
Yeah.
today is a day to just celebrate the incredible things going on in your own way, shape, or form. I like that.
I like that. Very, very good. And yeah, and happy Patty's Day to all.
Mhm.
Um, it's a fun, wonderful March day
Yeah.
to celebrate. I have my ex-boyfriend is an Irishman. Oh, don't you know? And so he wrote me yesterday because he's living in Asia. And so it was his St. Patty's Day yesterday. And so we had a little exchange. So yeah, you can celebrate St. Patty's Day for a long time.
Well, I mean,
As
honestly,
it
this was my joke on Monday. I was telling Jeff when he was live on the show with us Monday morning. I was like, was it St. Patrick's Day last weekend or this weekend? And his answer was yes.
Yes,
That was
that's right.
Mhm.
You can celebrate it, especially if you're in Chicago. Yeah, you can celebrate it for a long time.
I
Yeah,
guess so. Who knew?
wonderful.
I will be in Chicago. Shout out to ASCD who's putting on a conference that's bringing together some Teach Better family members. So if you
Yes.
are around in the Chicagoland area, or even if you want a road trip, Friday evening we are getting together. Please direct message us if you are looking to be in community. If we can involve you, we'd love to. But we will also see the Green River, I guess, in Chicago, which will be kind of
Yes.
cool. So.
It's quite a scene. It's quite a scene. Yeah, ASCD has often been there, and people have chosen certain moments to not explore the educational pursuit, but to actually go see that river, and it is a sight.
Very, very fun. In addition to our holidays today, we also have a good news story. As many of you know, there's so many things out in the world to celebrate. And we really love to not only give you a good news story to maybe add a new pep in your step for the day heading forward, but also as a conversation starter with your students or with a staff member to continue to foster those relationships. This one today, you guys know I love the ocean. This was something special for the ocean that I just wanted to highlight. It says the breeding ground for green sea turtles in a recent report has had a 500% boom in the eggs being laid in that population of turtle. So, I mean, more turtles the merrier, don't you think?
I think so. Oh, they're so pretty.
So,
Turtles are gorgeous. I don't know. I love the concept of a turtle and a tortoise. Let's just shout out to the tortoises today.
shout out to the tortoises. In this article, which you're more than welcome to find over at Good News Network, it says a breeding ground for green turtles specifically has seen a 500% boom in the number of eggs being laid since hunting them has been recently banned.
Oh, thank
Scientists say
God.
that there has been great conservation success, and they are very excited to continue this pursuit to support this population. It has said, goes into kind of the research of how many eggs are being laid and how they're tracking that, which is so fun to be able to expose our students to. Shout out to the professors and the scientists that are able to support the work being done all over the world. And as they continue to look into how they can continue to support this population, really just awareness is something they're celebrating in this article. So
Mm,
I love this opportunity for us, ourselves, but also for our students to support the incredible animals that live on this planet.
yeah.
So important.
Yay! How
So good.
fun. Yeah, that's a great thing to share with your kids.
Always love.
Let's go study turtles. Let's go see what we can do to help. I like it.
Jennifer, I do want to make sure that our friends here in the Teach Better family get to connect with you. I know so many of them are already connected to you, but what an opportunity to be able to connect with you on all social media platforms, visit your website, continue to consume not only the books that you put out, but anything that we can continue to be learners within. So would you mind sharing how we can keep that connection?
Oh, so I have a website, jenniferabrams.com. Pretty basic there. And I'm at Jennifer Abrams on Twitter. I think I'm at Jennifer Beth Abrams, my middle name, Jennifer Beth Abrams on Insta, which I'm not doing as much as I should. And if anybody wants to find me, Jennifer at jenniferabrams.com. I read my emails, I respond. It's my work. So I'm happy to work with any of you. Please be in touch. It'd be fun to connect.
I so encourage you all to reach out to Jennifer at any point in time. And then, of course, if you need anything, the Teach Better community is obviously here to support you as well. So as we head into this Thursday, please take a moment to remind yourself of the magic that we have to be able to work with students heading into the day. Of course, there will be challenges, but you have the community supporting you to problem solve through anything. Thank you so much for including us in your morning. Jennifer, thank you for waking up so early to be able to share your insight with us. We really appreciate you.
I very much appreciate you, and everybody have a great day.
Yes, we want to wish you a wonderful Thursday. Please let us know if there's anything that you are pursuing. Please head over to teachbetterconference.com to submit your proposal, to share your voice, or to any other conference existing across the world. Make sure that you are sharing your voice. And then as a reminder to all of our family here, we do have a Teach Better birthday coming up next week on March 24th. And for all the details, you can head to teachbetter.com/happy birthday. There are 6 ways that we want you to get involved in celebrating the Teach Better 7th birthday. And we love for you to find out all those ways again at teachbetter.com/happy birthday. So Jennifer, thank you again for our community. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll see you later, friends.